So I've got a new skill video coming up about the scale of nuclear explosions, and I really want to use Embergen. And so I've tasked Jordan with basically becoming an Embergen expert because Jordan is very good at learning.
So we just finished watching some of my old work from my high school days. And even though it's objectively terrible, I remember those days very fondly. Out of high school, I had a very strict game plan in mind for my future. I was gonna get into USC Film School. I was gonna do 4 years, graduate summa cum laude, start working at Warner Brothers, and by the time I was 50, be a senior editor there. I didn't really have any experience of anyone else's skill set outside of myself. And so when I was rejected, I was shook completely, and it kind of kicked me on my butt because I didn't really have a backup. That's what kind of shifted me into the community college path. I got rejected again from USC another year later, and then rejected for a third time. I was very grateful to have received an acceptance letter from Chapman. I met some absolutely incredible people who I still call a friend to this day, people who share the same passion as you and who are just as driven as you. And it's exciting, it's really exciting. That to me made it worth it, but I was limited in some respects of what I was allowed to study, and I just paid all the money that I'd saved my entire life essentially, and I hadn't gotten to take a class that I wanted. That summer I came to a very difficult decision where I had to decide, do I want to go back? I'm at a point now where I'm only a few thousand in debt. I have 2 more years on my docket, 2 more years that I don't even know that I'll enjoy. I've met some fantastic people. I can stay in touch with them, but maybe it's time to branch off. But I called up Chapman and I said, don't hold my spot. I'm not coming back. I'm gonna learn for the task that is directly ahead of me, and over the years, I will hopefully acquire enough of a skill set to tackle anything that comes my way. And that is a mentality that I maintain today. So today, I wanna share my personal do's and don'ts of self-teaching with you. The first step here is structure. Picking a teacher who knows what they're talking about and taking a structured course is often the most efficient way to get started and move forward. For me, I'm currently underway continuing my studies in Houdini, and for that I've used CG Circuit, where I have access to some incredible teachers and some fantastic curriculum for very affordable prices. I've also started moving down the rabbit hole at Rebelway, and they have much larger, albeit more expensive courses, but I feel like I'm at that point in my studies where I want to invest to that degree. That has provided me a roadmap for the next 2.5 years, which is very exciting because I know and I've seen from the structure of the course where I can be in those years. Scheduling your time. Some of us have a lot of time, some of us have just a little bit, but don't allow that to be an excuse to not carve out something for yourself, whether it be early in the morning, which is my preference, late at night, on a long drive, or even on a lunch break. Find time to invest in yourself and protect that time. It's not easy getting up that early, but it's most definitely worth it. Another element of optimizing your self-learning is the idea of removing distraction. I could have a browser open on my second monitor. I have the drive constantly to look at social media. Every time that you break that focus, you need to ramp back up to being optimal. And so I intentionally remove my phone from my workstation. I intentionally turn off my secondary monitors. Protecting that focus is just as important as protecting that time. Direct focus on one task for 50 minutes at a time can be challenging. It can be a chore, but it gets easier every single time you do it.
Unlike the other Jordan, I do most of my learning away from the computers. I'm doing producing, I'm doing sword fighting, I'm doing Muay Thai, so I need a wallet that's gonna keep up with my active lifestyle. So that's why I'm here to talk to you about today's sponsor, Ridge. So my favorite thing about the Ridge wallet is that it comes in over 30 colors and styles. This wallet is made with RFID blocking technology that protects you from digital pickpocketers. Also, each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. The wallets have over 50,000 5-star reviews. The Ridge team is so confident that you'll like it that they'll let you test drive it for 99 days. You can send it back for a full refund if you don't like it. I keep our little security card in here because I actually just used it today to get into the studio.
Welcome Jordan.
There's room for 12 different cards in here, and plus there's room for cash. On top of the wallet, they also make a bunch of other amazing great gifts. They have this backpack that's my personal favorite. I'm taking this to Italy. They have key cases, they have watches, and they have stylish rings. If you go to ridge.com/quartercrew, you get up to 40% off on all of these super cool items, but that's only until December 22nd. Perfect for Christmas. That's ridge.com/quartercrew to get up to 40% off. Now let's get back to our studies with Jordan Allen.
Now that we have our structure in place, we're off to a fantastic start, but that's only going to get us so far without consistency. The first step here is to set a goal. This goal is your why, or your overarching reason for learning. My personal why is to one day be able to create literally anything that pops in my head, which is a lofty goal, but it is very exciting to me. Don't rely on just motivation. Motivation runs out. That's why discipline is so important. There are so many days where you're not gonna feel like doing it, but those days are what your why is for. Discipline is funny. It's like a muscle that needs to be built. Right out the gate, it's probably gonna be pretty weak, and it is pretty weak in all of us. But the more victories that you have on days where you're lacking motivation, the stronger you get in handling those days. It's very, very important that if you fail on one day, you don't allow that to be an excuse to fail on the next. Another thing that should be consistent is the source of your information. You can go on YouTube and you can find so much amazing free resource there, but just be wary of how many teachers, how many voices you're allowing to guide you. Because oftentimes having so many voices can lead to conflicting information that will actually slow you down. That's why I think paid courses are such a benefit, because you have a constructed, coherent roadmap from one singular voice, and that's gonna speed you up in the long haul. And if you're in a position where you can't afford a paid course, that is totally okay. Going the YouTube route, going with free videos, you're absolutely gonna find benefit. You'll just have to spend a little bit more time constructing your own roadmap and finding ideally a single voice or single channel that you can trust to give your time to. And when it comes to consistency, be aware that getting started is literally always the hardest part. But I promise you that if you can get up and if you can get in front of that computer and you can put 5 minutes in, more often than not, you'll find a second win that will carry you through the entire study session. Now that we've got our structure and consistency in place, we are well on our way. But all of it will be for nothing if we don't retain the information that we consume. And that leads us to our next topic, retention. The first thing that I'll do is I will watch a tutorial video from start to finish, doing nothing else but paying full attention to the video. And while I don't retain a ton from this first viewing, I do get a very good understanding of where we're about to go, and I can prepare myself for that. The second viewing, I take copious notes. I try to write them in my own voice. Sometimes I'll read them aloud. In a way, I'm trying to teach myself, because teaching something is tremendously beneficial when it comes to retaining something. But once I feel that I've fully understood the lesson and have taught it back to myself, I move on to the third step in my retention process, and that's the actual application. That's getting my hands dirty in the software, doing what I just learned. In a way, you're learning by watching, you're learning by teaching, and you're learning by doing. And those three things together build a very, very strong foundation for you retaining the knowledge that you're learning. You've got structure, you've got consistency, and you've got a plan for retention in place. There is one more piece of the puzzle, and it is the most important one. It is your mental health. When you're trying to learn something all by yourself, it's very, very easy to get in your own head, to feel inferior, or like you're not good enough, or you're never gonna make it. That happens to all of us. You're not weaker for having those thoughts. And it's important to combat them by remembering the following things. There is so much talent out in the world, and it can be intimidating. When my dad was young, he was a musician primarily, and he had access to a limited amount of musicians in his area. He looks at videos now and he says, wow, musicians are so much better now than they were back then. And I have to say, no, Dad, they've always been that good. It's just now we have a window to the very, very best all the time. And that can be very daunting. But the light you need to shine on that is that their abilities are nothing more than evidence of what can be done with enough work. That's an empowering thought and an encouraging thought, and one that you should hold tight. The only direct comparison you should ever really make is your current self to your past self. I know that I am far away from being the best in the world at visual effects, but I'm the best that I've ever been, and I'm very, very proud of that. And don't feel rushed. I want to be the master of everything that I'm studying right then and there. If you can learn to appreciate and enjoy the journey on your way to the top, it will be so much easier for you to sustain your growth. There's a natural tendency in me to be a bit harsh on myself. If you feel you're moving slow, Be sure to speak to yourself with love and kindness. It's a process for everybody. More importantly, it's a different process for everybody. We all have our own capacities, we have our own weaknesses and our own strengths that we bring to the table. That makes us unique, but that also needs to make our learning unique. So don't fear these moments. Don't stress when they come up. Look forward to them as opportunities to grow and become better today than you were yesterday. There's a saying that I love that says, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And that opportunity might not come today or tomorrow or a week from now, but I promise you there will be an opportunity around the corner at some point in your life. And now is your chance to get ready for it. You got this. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this information helpful, and if someone came to mind while you were watching, I encourage you to share this video with them as well, because you never know if it might be exactly what someone needs to hear. If you guys would like more content like this, let us know by liking, subscribing, commenting, or going to corridordigital.com, where this video is originally from. And with that said, we here at Corridor are wishing you the very best on your journey.